At the front entrance here, we have a full view door, metal. And this one's very spacious, very easy for us to stay in. At the left, as you walk in all the way to the back, you have your bathroom with a full, normal, regular toilet and a nice vanity. And this is hooked up to public utilities. And it has a full bathtub, one-piece unit, bathtub and shower. And it's got a nice little rain type head in there. This has got vinyl flooring throughout. That is very nice vinyl flooring. Originally we thought it was wood till we got to looking closer. But everything in here on the interior is wood. The outside is vinyl siding with a metal roof. I believe that's pine. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Your panel box is here at this cubby. You've got they've elected for a single unit, one of those combo units, which we can't even figure out how to operate that thing. We had it wash or close. We couldn't get it to dry. But there's enough space here to put a stackable. If it was me, I would actually keep this stackable. I'm sorry, not stackable, this combo unit. And we talked about this last night. When this was manufactured, I would have had this put lower because you can easily do that. And then this would have been just a full countertop across because you could do this to give you extra workspace. You can still work this in somehow. You can put you a counter in here, but you've got to contend with your hot and cold and your drain line. But it's got the nice wood door to the bathroom, and I'm going to turn off lights as I go because we're checking out and getting ready to leave. And I measured this as best I could. It's somewhere in the range of 8 foot by about 25 to 26 feet, I believe. But here is the view from the bathroom. And I'll get you a little more detail. But your kitchen is kind of split up. You've got your fridge. I say fridge because I'm from West Virginia, but it's refrigerator. Here, you've got more space up top for taller if you wanted, but this is the one they chose, like an apartment fridge. It's got freezer in the refrigerator section. Your cabinet with your sink. This is your very interesting. I love this thing. This is such a cool idea if you have the room in your tiny home. This is a faux tile. If you don't know what this is, I'm about to show you if I can remember how to work this thing. Dishwasher. That's cool. They opted to have just a single sink, which is a pretty deep sink. That's probably a 9-inch deep. But got your dishwasher here. And if I build a tiny home, this is definitely going to be a part of it. And let me see if I can remember how to close this. There we go. You've got under sink cabinets. Then on this section, on the other side of the door, you have some cabinets. You have a small range with a small oven and storage area below that. Cabinets over to the side. Beautiful countertop. And like I say, we would have, if we chose to live in a tiny home like this, we would put a countertop there as well. You have all those cabinets up top, which is really cool, and a microwave over the range microwave with the vent. This is a gas stove, as you can see, and it has a mini split right there, and that is remote controlled, and I'm not sure 100% where that remote control is. I love this countertop. You've got space here. This is sort of like your bar. If you wanted to put a stool or two, you could put one here and one over here, and two people could comfortably have breakfast or lunch there. And they included one stool, and they actually even put some tray tables like the old, we call them TV tables. They just stack those over here, a couple of tray tables, and you can sit at the futon and eat. And that futon does fold out. It makes a small, I guess you'd say that's a twin, or maybe a full. Really well thought out tiny home. You've got a nice ceiling fan there. That thing really does a nice job. And you've got the windows up there. They don't have window treatment, so you can let the natural light in. The rest of the windows have pull down blinds, or as the case with the door, closing blind. And the rear door, the French door back here, have the built-in shades. These things, if you I've never seen these, they just are built in. And then you've got your flick and these controls here, and for up and down is here. And I didn't mention, you do have the under the stair storage spaces. You have wardrobe, a little cubby for maybe shoes. You could put shoes in there. This has sliding trash containers, and this could work as your pantry or just extra clothing storage, whatever you want to do. And another cubby on this one. Beautiful wood steps. Negatives for me on this step is unfortunately, it just, for whatever reason, maybe for the distance and the span they wanted to go or whatever, the step from this first step to this step is higher than any other by a little bit. And with my back and knee problem I've had the last couple weeks, that ain't very comfortable for me. But upstairs, you have your loft. Let me see if I can shed some light on that. And it's a pretty good size loft. That is almost a king size bed, if it's not a king size bed up there. The only negative to lofts, and I'm going to tell you this, and a lot of you probably already know it, the negative to lofts is the headspace. Once you get to that top step, or actually when you get to about this step, you're ready to bang your head on the roof. So you've got to figure out, do I continue to climb and hunch over, or do I get on my knees and crawl? And as you're getting older like me, that hunching over and hurting your back is not super comfortable. But also, being that this loft has wood flooring, crawling's not very comfortable either. So if I'm gonna move into something like this, I'm gonna put some really thick padded carpet in the loft. Just in case I get to the point all I want to do is crawl across the floor to the bed. But ideally, as you get older, I don't know that I would want to even consider loft sleeping. You guys let me know what your thoughts are in the comments about sleeping in the loft. That's a drawback. But this floor plan is very well thought out, very concise. It's got everything you need. Definitely more space than an Incredibox. The Incredibox being 8x16. This is 8x26. You get 10 more feet. And of course, it's definitely not going to be as economical, excuse me, as a tiny Incredibox. But it's an option for people that have more more money to invest. But this would be the type of living we would do. I mean, I would even just consider having a really super nice futon and sleeping down here all the time and reserving the loft for guests. That would be my shot at things. That railing up there is really cool in the loft. I've always liked the industrial type look of that railing with the wires and the posts. And I've thought about doing that on a deck or two that we've remodeled and stuff like that, but I've never done it. But I noticed that's, you've got to stay after the tension on those wires because they do get kind of saggy, as you can see. And I don't think they really are there much except for sort of like an emergency catching of you. If you were to happen to get up and sleepwalk or something, it may stop you. It may be a stumbling block for you. Let's call it sleep hunching, because if you were sleepwalking up there, you would have to be sleep hunching. You'd probably knock yourself out if you tried to stand up. But anyway, the other negative I had was the fact that your railing is on the wall as opposed to on this side of the stairs. I think that's somewhat a little bit of a hazard for maybe children or something like that. I mean, that's a pretty good fall for someone. For maybe this is about a 5 foot and a couple inches to the ground, and this is adding another 9 inches, 10 inches, so that's almost 6 foot, if not 6 foot to the ground, and that would be a pretty hefty fall for anybody. We just watched a video a minute ago of a guy that lives in Wisconsin, put his tiny home up for sale, very similar to this one, but his did have a handrail along the outer edge of the stairs here, as opposed to on the wall. And last night, my situation, just to explain my situation so you get to know me a little better, I have poor vision. I wear contacts, special contact lenses, not your normal contact lenses, but mine are built for astigmatism because I've basically got 20/80, 20/90 vision. And when I take my contacts out at night, it becomes more of a let's feel around and use our hands and use our feet to figure out where we're at. And it can be difficult in places that I'm staying, like hotels or Air BNBs. I have to sort of plan out my night before I go to bed and say, okay, if I've got to get up and go to the restroom in the middle of the night, you know, what are my hazards? What am I going to step on? What could I trip on? Things like that. So I look at the kind of the floor plan and make sure I've got a clear path to the restroom and make sure I know exactly where the restroom is, where the lights are, things like that. So last night, I tried to be conscious of all of this and keep an eye out for how much liquids I was drinking. Keep away from the tea, keep away from the water, keep away from the sodas, and watch to make sure I didn't drink too much before bed so I wouldn't have to make the several trips up and down these steps to go to the restroom, which is on the main floor. And it ended up that I had to twice. And it was a little sketchy for me. I had to get out of the bed, make sure I didn't hit my head when I was hunching up, and then kind of get over here, feel my way around at the top of the stairs. And as opposed to coming down the stairs frontwards, like you normally would, because of my back and leg ache in the last week or so, I opted to turn around and hold on to the rail with my right hand and just sort of back myself down the stairs. And then it was no problem to get to the bathroom. But then I had to deal with going back up. And of course, with my wife, Tammy, sleeping, I didn't want to have any lights on. And the only light we had was coming from the display on the mini split, which I'm zooming into now. That's a Comfort Air mini split. But that works perfectly as a little nightlight. So I didn't have too much of a light visibility problem. I just had the fact that I can't see. So I was very careful going down these steps, going to the restroom, getting back up, getting back in bed. And then the second time I had to go to the restroom, I had been snoring a little bit because I'm telling you, that bed was not super comfortable last night. It's a really inexpensive mattress, and it just, you could feel the springs in the mattress, and it was just, you had to lay a certain way just to be comfortable. And I had gotten in a position where I was snoring, and my wife was kind of bumping me saying, wake up, move, turn over, you're snoring. And about the time she was doing that, I had to use the restroom. So I just, when I came down to go to the restroom, I just ended up crashing right here on the futon. I didn't even pull it out. I just laid on it like it was a couch, and I slept perfectly fine. It was really, really comfortable. But that was our night in this one. Really, really like this floor plan. Really like the finishes. Really like the layout. Like I say, my only issue is the loft, and as we get older and other people get older and you're thinking about tiny living, you're going to have to think about your mobility. Are you going to be able to go up these steps? Are you going to be able to make these bigger steps that they sometimes put in here? You can kind of visibly see that step is a little taller than the other one. So those are things you have to consider and have to think. Single floor living would be best for me, I think, and Tammy. Tammy had knee surgery, as we've talked about, and sometimes her knee acts up. It's really good shape. It's better than it was before, but it'll give her some problems, and then we find ourselves poking around really slow. And when we first get up and start moving around, that's when it's really problematic. After we've been up for a minute or two and started walking, everything's fine, but that's the problem when you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And that's another thing as you age. You're going to be getting up and going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And that's a consideration. When you're up in a loft and you have to get up in the middle of the night and you're achy and creaky and getting older, those first few steps are the ones that are the hardest. Trying to lube your joints up and things like that, but after you get going, everything's fine. But the problem is those first few steps. And if those first few steps are hunched over and crawling or something like that, and you're dealing with steps like this and no handrail on the outside, it could be a recipe for disaster. And it's just a negative. It's just, I'm not knocking this house. I mean, this great for a younger couple, whatever, that's plenty limber and loose and has no problems. But as some of our viewers are getting older and we're thinking about tiny homes as a retirement option and cost-saving measure, it's something to consider. Like I say, I'd love to have a loft for extra space, for extra storage, for grandchildren to stay over, whatever the case may be. But I just don't know that I would sleep in the loft as a regular full-time thing. So that's just me. That's just Tammy. That's just our opinion. That's just our thoughts. You may think differently, but that's kind of why we'd like you to comment. Tell us your thoughts. But anyway, that's been the tour of this one. Just a sort of quick one. I think this video is going to be under 20 minutes, which is great. That's our goal, is to stay at 20 minutes or under, and we don't do a good job of that, but this time we will. Forgot to mention they do have a smaller TV and a little wood stove over here. It's one of those electric type plug-in wood stove type things. LED display, puts out heat. Love those things. They're a lot safer than a lot of other ones that are out there, but you could potentially put in a bigger TV. Here, this one was fine for the distance. You're only, your head's only 6.5 feet away from the TV. So it's plenty good for us. We sat here and watched Vivian last night, her video about Halloween, and the kids all dressing up trunk or treat, and her making her spaghetti with her castleberries, which we love castleberries, by the way. So anyway, we watched that video. We watched a few about tiny homes and things like that. But now we've got to go. We figured out how to wash clothes in this thing, but we didn't figure out how to dry them. Well, we thought we were drying them. We ran them through 2 cycles, and they're still soaking wet. So we have to go find a laundromat to dry our clothes. So anyway, you guys take it easy. Take the fast way home.